Hi there, I'm Soren Reiff, and today I want to show you my Pedalboard version 2018. I have a lot of pedals that I want to show you, so let's get started. From the guitar, the signal runs into this breakout box, and from that one it runs into the G2 from GigRig. The input is here, and the G2 from GigRig is a switching system, programmable switching system. It has 10 loops, 8 mono loops and 2 stereo loops. It has some remote controls, remote switches. Here's the stereo outputs, and here's a movable insert point that you can either use for your amp's effect send return, or you can use it, in my sake I use it for a volume pedal, and I can place it wherever I want it to in every preset. And you can either make presets where you control the order of the pedals, what pedals you want turned on, or you can control the pre-gain or the post-gain. The post-gain is type the same as master volume, or you can make another kind of presets that's called stump presets, meaning that you won't go from one preset to another when you turn on the stump presets. It's like a new layer you add it to the preset you already chosen, and when you choose a new preset, then you will continue with the preset mode. It's when I heard about it the first time I was a little confused, but when I started using my G2, I was just, oh, that's it, because it sounds a little more complicated than it is. And the G2 is awesome. It sounds great. It has some nice buffers. It has some really fantastic features, and it's very easy to work with. Okay, so here's the G2, and as you can see, here is an auxiliary output. I connect that to the tuner, meaning when I turn that on, the signal is muted. And after that, here we have the pre-gain in front of the 10 loops, the controllers on-off switches for the 10 loops I showed you before. And after that, we have the post-gain. That was the master volume. And then we have these remote switches, the remote controls. I use some of them for functions on my revival drive. I get back to that. And I use one of them in Stumpbox mode for my EQ on my Mesa Boogie amps. Over here we have some additional switches. You can control the phase, and you can control the bank, and you can control the outputs and stuff like that. So every pedal is connected to my G2, and that's the heart of the center of my setup. Yeah, that's the brain of everything. It has MIDI and sends out MIDI as well. I get back to that in a while. Okay, and here in the first loop, I turned it on here. I have my wah from Xotic pedals. Some G2 users prefer to have the wah in front because they don't want to waste a loop on a wah. But actually, even though the Xotic wah sounds really, really great, I think it sounds even better when it's placed in a loop, because then you have the benefit of the buffers from G2. In loop 2, I have the compressor from Octave Effects. It's a Cali 76 Compact Deluxe. It's a really, really nice sounding compressor. It's warm and still is open, and it's clear. And it has this nice feature where you can blend your original tone with the compressed signal, meaning that you will get some of your original attack, and then you will get all the warmth and compressed tone sustained from the compressor. And it's up to your taste to decide how much you want to blend in of each. But it's really, really nice, and I really love it, and I think it's the best sounding compressor on the market right now. And I have the compressor right after the wah, so I can smooth out the peaks from the wah, and it works really well for me that way. In loop 3, I have the Tumnus from Wampler pedals. It's an overdrive that has a really fat and juicy mid-range. When I bought that, I was looking for a pedal like that. Some people prefer tube screamers, or if you have the budget, you might prefer a clone. But this is the Wampler version of an overdrive that has this mid-range that will help you cut through the mix. It's a classic on modern pedal boards, because it's really nice to have that together with a more mid-scooped overdrive, or if you have a more mid-scooped amplifier, then it's really nice to have this option as well. After that, in loop 4, I have the revival drive from Octave Effects. I consider that my main overdrive at the moment. It has 2 channels. They sound a little bit different. If you want to, they can sound the same, but from the beginning it sounds a little bit different. The orange is a little more high biased, It's a little more intense. It's a little more, adds a little more sack to your tone. It has so many features and it sounds so great. I made a separate video only about that because it's really, really cool. And it has some functions that with the G2 that's really, really awesome. Some of the functions is that it has assignable mid boost. So instead of having a Tumnus, if you don't have that, but you want to buy this origin effect, then you can turn on and off the mid boost so you cut through a mix if you want that. Or it has, you can see I made that here as a stump box preset. Every preset with this yellow light means it's in stump box mode. And also here is the blend function. The blend function means that you can override the setting because the Overdrive has the same feature as the compressor, meaning you can blend the original clean signal with the overdriven sound, and you can get different flavors from that. And then you can, with the G2 or with the additional remote, you can turn off that blend setting so you get the full overdrive that you would get on a normal overdrive. After that, I have in loop 5, I have a new pedal for me. It's a SubnUp from TC Electronic. It's an Octaver. I used quite some time to find out what Octaver I should buy. And when I did all that research, I also realized that there's a lot of different opinions about where you should place the Octaver in your setup. Using the G2, I have the benefit of moving around the loops. You can place the loops in what order you want to. And I realized it sounds really different depending on where you place it in your chain. Therefore, I decided to make a video only about that. But right now, I placed it in loop 5, meaning I have it after my compressor and revival drive and in front of some of the other overdrives I have. Because in loop 6, I have this Euphoria from Wampler. It's also a classic. Depending on what voicing you're setting, it can sound, when it's in this smooth mode, it can sound, some people describe it as dumble. I never tried a dumble amp, but dumble is really transparent and really responsive to your attack and your dynamics. And you can also set it in a more open voicing, or you can set it in more crunch voicing, so it's a bit more aggressive. I've used it for the more transparent, and I bought it to get some more transparent and dynamic overdrive. And together with the Tumnus, you get some really good flavors and different combinations with that. After that, in the next loop, I have the overdrive from Friedmann. It's a really high gain overdrive. I bought it some years ago when I needed it for some certain sessions. It's really intense and full and modern, and I think at the moment I'm dialing in the same sound here using the orange side on my revival drive, but I think it's really nice to have different overdrive pedals so you can use them for alternative settings and alternative sounds depending on what you're playing. And after that, in loop 8, I have the clean boost from Lunastone. In a way, I don't need a clean boost because I have the post gain, I have the pre gain on the G2, but I prefer to have it here because when I'm doing live gigs, then it's a bit easier to adjust the level of solo playing or stuff like that. When you have this old school parameter and an old school knob, so you can adjust it that way. But if I was playing like the same gig several nights in a row, I would definitely not use it, because then I would make sure that the presets for the set list was correct and that every level on the presets was adjusted with the post gain. That acts like a kind of master volume. After the clean boost, I have placed the insert point there, and it goes to the effects send return on my breakout box, and it's connected to my volume pedal, meaning I have the volume pedal after all the overdrive pedals, so it doesn't affect the intensity of my overdrive driven sounds. And you can also see the remote switches I talked about when we're turning back to the breakout box. The remote switches are connected here to the amps if I'm using them. Here's the output for the amps. Okay, and after the volume pedal, I go to the pedals up here. I go to the Mobius. That's a pedal controlling or doing a lot of modulation stuff. It has Leslie's, phasers, auto-wahs, tremolos, stuff like that. It's really, really nice, and I think it's really, really great to have one pedal covering all those type of things. And it sounds great. It has MIDI, so whenever I change a preset, it changes for different settings for that. And also I have a tap tempo here, so I can always have the tempo fit whatever song I'm playing. In a band like this, where I want to have access to everything, I think it's really nice that I don't have, I'm not using global tap tempo, because maybe I don't want to change the delay setting, but I want to change how fast the Leslie is running or stuff like that. Therefore, I have separate tap tempos for those two. After that, it's in the first stereo loop here in loop 9. I have the timeline from Strymon 2. It's a digital delay that I'm really in love with, because it doesn't convert your original signal. I mean that your original signal is unprocessed, so you keep the attack of the string, you keep the dynamics, you keep your original tone. You're just adding some really nice delay flavors on top of that. After that, actually after the output of the G2, I have the BigSky from Strymon as well. It's a reverb. I placed it there because I don't want to waste a loop for the reverb. Either it's on all the time when I'm playing live, or it's off all the time when I'm doing a studio session. So therefore, it would be kind of waste to have the BigSky in a loop, because I use it that way. Everything gets powered by this generator from GigRig. It delivers 5,000 milliamperes, so it's intense and it's enough. And from that one, it runs to the distributors, and those sent to either to the Time Lords for the Strymon. They need some power, or the isolators, meaning that every pedal is sure to get isolated power from this. And I think it's really important to be aware of this isolated output from your power supply, because that's the main reason, that's the first reason. If you have hum in your pedal board, then it's probably the first thing I would look for is if you have isolated outputs on your power supply. You can see everything here is wired up with Evidence audio cables. I think they're sounding awesome. I think they're really easy to work with for a guy like me who's not good in all the technical stuff. And they're really reliable, so I can really recommend them. And it's pretty fast to set it up that way. The physical board, the rack here, is made by Custom Pedalboards. Also some of the hardware here. You can see over here there's a small box from Custom Pedalboards as well. It's when I press that, then I can swap between the different banks on my G2. I also use the G2 for browsing in the different pedals here with MIDI, because that's an easy way to get your way around in a pedal like that with a small display. Well, I think it pretty much covers everything. If you think that a video like this is interesting, I would truly appreciate if you would like and comment. I think it's really important with sharing experiences with on the internet. It's really a good way to get tips and tricks. And if you want to, I would truly appreciate if you would sign up for my channel and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Okay, till next time, have an awesome day. Hey!